Lisa Harper stood in the massive hallway of Kepler Station, trying not to look as small as she felt. The space station was built for aliens, not humans. Everything was huge. The doorways were 12 feet tall. The corridors could fit 3 Earth trucks side by side. Even the lights hanging from the ceiling were the size of cars. She was one of only 50 humans at the Galactic Defense Academy. The other cadets came from all over the galaxy. Most of them were much bigger than her. Some were much faster. All of them seemed to know what they were doing better than she did. Lisa pulled her uniform straight and walked toward the training hall. Her boots made small clicking sounds on the metal floor. Around her, alien cadets moved in groups. They talked in languages that sounded like music, or grinding rocks, or rushing water. Some of them looked at her with curiosity. Others just ignored her completely. The training hall doors opened with a soft hiss. Lisa stepped inside and stopped. The room was enormous. The ceiling disappeared into shadows high above. Training equipment filled the space like a small city. There were obstacle courses that looked like mountain ranges, combat rings that could fit entire football fields, weapon racks holding tools she had never seen before. Other cadets were already there. Lisa recognized some of the species from her classes. The tall, thin Zilani moved like dancers, their silver skin catching the light. The Metharians looked like walking crystals, their bodies making soft, chiming sounds when they moved. The Corvan cadets were covered in thick fur and walked on 4 legs like giant wolves. But it was the Vorthak that made Lisa nervous. They were the warriors of the galaxy. Everyone knew that. They stood 10 feet tall and had 4 arms each. Their skin looked like armor plating. Their faces had sharp mandibles that clicked when they talked. They had been fighting wars in space for thousands of years. Lisa found a spot near the back of the group. She tried to make herself invisible. At home on New Montana, she had been strong. She could work all day on the farm without getting tired. She could lift heavy equipment and wrestle cattle twice her size. But here, surrounded by aliens who were born to fight, she felt weak and small. "Attention, cadets!" a voice boomed across the hall. Combat Master Krexith entered the room. He was even bigger than the other Vorthak. Scars covered his armor-like skin. His forearms moved with deadly grace. His mandibles clicked as he looked over the assembled students. When his 4 eyes focused on the human cadets, Lisa felt like he was looking right through her. "Today we begin combat training," Krexth announced. His voice sounded like rocks falling down a mountain. "You come from many worlds, many species. Each of you thinks your way of fighting is best." He began to pace in front of them. Each step shook the floor slightly. The Zilani believe in speed and precision. They strike like lightning and vanish like smoke. The Metharians trust their natural armor and endurance. They absorb damage and strike back when enemies are tired. The Corvan hunt in packs, using teamwork and strategy. Krexith stopped pacing and looked directly at the human cadets. "And then we have humans." Several alien cadets made sounds that might have been laughter. Lisa felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment. "Humans," Krexith continued, "are curious creatures. Your species joined the galactic community only recently. 3 cycles ago, you were still fighting each other with primitive weapons on your home world. Now you wish to train as galactic warriors." He walked closer to the human group. Lisa could smell something like metal and ozone coming from his skin. "Humans have no natural armor, no claws or fangs, no enhanced speed or strength. You have 1 heart, fragile bones, and soft flesh. Most species could break you without trying." The combat master stopped right in front of Lisa. She had to crane. her neck back to look at his face. "Tell me, human cadet, what makes your species think it belongs among warriors?" Lisa's mouth felt dry. All eyes in the training hall were on her. She could hear her heart beating in her ears. "I don't know, sir," she managed to say. "You don't know," Crexith repeated. His mandibles clicked in what she was learning meant amusement among his people. "Your species travels across the galaxy to train as fighters, but you don't know why you think you can fight." "We adapt, sir," Lisa said, remembering something from her orientation classes. "Humans are good at adapting to new situations." "Adapt?" Crex said the word like it tasted bad. "Yes, this is what humans always say. You adapt. But adaptation takes time, Cadet. In combat, you have seconds to live or die. There is no time to adapt when an enemy's claws are reaching for your throat." He turned away from her and addressed the entire group. "Today, you will all demonstrate your species' natural fighting abilities. Zilani will show their speed. Matharians will show their strength. Corvan will show their pack tactics." Crex looked back at Lisa. "And humans will show us this adaptation they speak of." The other cadets began moving toward different training areas. Lisa watched them go, each group confident and eager. The Zilani practically floated as they walked. The Matharians' crystal bodies rang like bells. The Corvan moved together like a single organism. Lisa stood alone for a moment, wondering what she had gotten herself into. On Earth, joining the Galactic Academy had seemed like an adventure, a chance to see the universe and represent humanity among the stars. Now, surrounded by creatures born to be warriors, she felt like a child playing dress-up in adult clothes, but she had come too far to quit now. Lisa squared her shoulders and walked toward the combat ring where Crexith was waiting. Whatever happened, next she would face it. That was what humans did. They faced things even when they were scared, even when they were outmatched, even when everyone expected them to fail. That was adaptation, too, in its own way. The combat ring was a circle of smooth metal 20 feet across. White lights shone down from above, making everything bright and clear. Lisa stepped onto the platform and felt how solid it was under her feet. No give, no bounce. Just hard metal. That would hurt if someone hit it. Around the ring, other cadets gathered to watch. Lisa could see curiosity in their alien faces. Some looked amused. Others seemed puzzled. None of them looked worried for her safety. Why would they? She was just a human. Combat Master Crexith climbed onto the platform from the other side. When his feet hit the metal, the whole ring shook slightly. He was so much bigger than Lisa that she felt like a child standing next to an adult. His arms moved smoothly as he prepared for the demonstration. "Observe carefully," Crexith called out to the watching cadets. "Each species fights differently because each species is built differently. Today you will see why." He gestured to a Zilani cadet named Swift Wing. Zilani fighting style relies on speed and precision. Swift Wing stepped forward and extended her arms. Razor-sharp claws slid out from her fingertips, gleaming like knives. She moved in a blur, striking at the air so fast that Lisa could barely see the movements. The claws made soft whistling sounds as they cut through space. "Beautiful," Crexith said with approval. "Speed and cutting power. A Zilani warrior can strike 12 times before most enemies can react once." Next, he called forward a Matharian cadet called Stoneheart. The crystal-bodied alien moved slowly onto the ring. Crex picked up a metal rod from a weapon rack and struck Stoneheart's arm with it. The rod bent. Stoneheart didn't even flinch. Metherian fighting style uses natural armor and endurance, Crexith explained. They absorb damage while wearing down their enemies. Time is their weapon. A Corvan cadet named Packrunner demonstrated next. But instead of coming alone, 3 other Corvan joined him. They moved together like dancers, surrounding an imaginary enemy. One would attack while the others moved to new positions. They float around each other without getting in each other's way. Corvan never fight alone, Crex said. Pack tactics and group coordination. 1 Corvan is dangerous. 4 Corvan are unstoppable. He turned his 4 eyes toward Lisa. The other. Demonstrations were finished. Now it was her turn. And now we come to humans. Lisa felt every alien eye in the training hall focus on her. The silence was heavy and uncomfortable. She could hear her own breathing, her own heartbeat. Her hands felt sweaty inside her training gloves. Humans claim to be adaptable, Crexith continued, walking around her in a slow circle. But what does this mean in combat? Adaptation requires learning. Learning requires time. In a real fight, you have no time to learn. He stopped in front of her. Show me, human cadet. Show me how your species fights. Show me this adaptation. Lisa opened her mouth to speak, then closed it again. What could she say? That humans punched things? That they used tools? That they were stubborn? None of that seemed impressive compared to natural claws, armor skin, or pack tactics. I'm not sure what you want me to show you, sir, she said honestly. Crexth's mandibles clicked. Exactly my point. Your species sends cadets to train as warriors, but you don't even know what makes you warriors. He raised one of his 4 arms. Perhaps a demonstration would help. Sir? Lisa asked, confused. I will show you the difference between species with natural fighting abilities and species without them, Crex said. I will perform a simple striking technique. You will see how easily a real warrior can overwhelm a human. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. You want to hit me? A demonstration only, Crex assured her. I will not hurt you. I will simply show the watching cadets why humans need technology and tactics to survive in combat, why you cannot rely on physical ability alone. The other cadets leaned forward with interest. This was clearly not part of the normal training routine. Lisa looked around the ring, hoping someone would object. No one did. Even the other human cadets seemed curious to see what would happen. Don't worry, human, Swiftwing called out. Crexth is very controlled. He won't actually hurt you. Yeah, added Stoneheart, his crystal voice ringing like a bell. He just wants to show the difference between us and you. Lisa looked back at Crexth. The massive Vorthak was positioning himself for the strike. His primary right arm was drawing back slowly. His other 3 arms remained at his sides. His stance was perfect, balanced, and ready. This is a standard Vorthak combat strike, he announced for the benefit of the watching cadets. Notice the positioning of the feet, the rotation of the torso, the controlled movement of the striking arm. Lisa watched his arm pull back. The muscles under his armor like skin bunched and flexed. Even holding back, even moving slowly for demonstration purposes, she could see the power there. If that arm hit her at full force, it would probably kill her. The key to effective striking is using your natural advantages, Crexith continued, still holding his arm back. Vorthak have 4 arms for multiple attack angles. We have dense bone structure for impact power. We have natural armor for protection during the attack. He looked down at Lisa. Humans have none of these advantages. They must rely on tools, tactics, and teamwork to be effective in combat. This is not weakness. It is simply how they are built. Crexith's arm began to move forward, slowly at first, but gaining speed. Watch how a human must defend against superior physical force. The strike was coming toward her head. Lisa could see it clearly, could track its path through the air. Crexith was moving slowly enough that she could easily step back, duck under it, or raise her arms to block. This was just a demonstration, after all. She was supposed to show how humans dealt with being outmatched. But something deep in Lisa's brain didn't understand that this was just a demonstration. Something primitive and old. Something that had kept her ancestors alive when they were hunting mammoths and running from cave bears. Something that didn't care about galactic politics or training exercises or what was supposed to happen. That something saw a predator attacking and decided it was time to fight back. Lisa's body moved before her mind could stop it. Instead of stepping back or blocking, she stepped forward. Instead of defending, she attacked. Her right hand formed a fist and shot upward toward Crexith's jaw. The combat master's 4 eyes widened in surprise. This wasn't what was supposed to happen. Time seemed to slow down. Lisa could see everything with perfect clarity. Crexith's massive arm still moving toward her head, his 4 eyes widening with surprise. The watching cadets beginning to lean forward with interest, the bright lights reflecting off the metal ring. But mostly she could see the perfect target. Crexith's jaw was protected by thick plates of natural armor on the sides. His throat had heavy ridges that would stop most attacks. His chest was covered in layers of bone-like protection. But right under his chin, where his jaw met his neck, there was a small gap in the armor. A weakness that evolution had left behind. Because no Vorthak would ever think to attack there. No Vorthak would think to attack there because Vorthak fought other Vorthak. They used wide, sweeping strikes with their 4 arms. They aimed for the torso, the limbs, the sides of the head. They fought like creatures with natural armor, striking hard and accepting hits in return. But Lisa wasn't a Vorthak. She was human. And humans had learned to kill things much bigger than themselves by being very, very precise. Her fist shot upward like a piston, not a wild swing, not a desperate flail. A perfect, controlled strike that used her whole body's momentum. Her legs pushed up from the metal floor. Her hips rotated to add power. Her shoulder drove forward. Every muscle in her body worked together to deliver maximum force to one tiny spot. The punch caught Crexith exactly where Lisa aimed it. Right in that small gap under his jaw. The impact made a sound like a hammer hitting wood. The shock wave traveled through his skull and into his brain, scrambling his nervous system like a computer being unplugged. Crexith's strike, which had still been moving toward Lisa's head, suddenly stopped. His 4 arms went limp. His legs buckled. His massive body, which had seemed so powerful and dangerous just a second before, crumpled like a broken toy. He hit the metal ring with a crash that shook the entire platform. 10 feet of armored muscle and bone, reduced to an unconscious heap by one punch from a 5'6" human girl. The training hall went completely silent. Lisa stood over Crexith's motionless form, her fist still clenched, her body still in the follow-through position from the punch. She was breathing hard, not from effort but from adrenaline. Her heart was pounding so loud she could hear it in her ears. "Oh no," she whispered, staring down at the fallen combat master. "Oh no, oh no, oh no!" The alien cadets around the ring were frozen in shock. Swiftwing's claws were still extended, but she had forgotten about them. Stoneheart's crystal body was making confused, chiming sounds. The Corvin pack had unconsciously moved closer together. their pack instincts triggered by the sudden violence. Even the other human cadets looked stunned. They knew Lisa was strong from her farm background, but this was beyond anything they had imagined. Dropping a fully grown Vorthak warrior with a single punch seemed impossible. "Is he dead?" asked a cadet from somewhere in the crowd. The voice was small and scared. Lisa knelt down next to Krexth's head. She put her ear close to his mandibles and listened. "He's breathing," she said, relief flooding through her voice. "He's alive. Just unconscious." She looked up at the circle of alien faces staring down at her. Some looked amazed. Others looked frightened. A few looked angry, like she had broken some important rule. "It was instinct," she said, trying to explain. "He was coming at me, and I just reacted. I didn't mean to hurt him. It was just instinct." But even as she said it, Lisa knew it wasn't entirely true. Yes, her body had moved by itself. Yes, her ancient human instincts had taken over, but those instincts hadn't made her panic or flail. Wildly, they had made her precise. They had shown her exactly where to hit and exactly how hard to hit it. That precision, that ability to find a weakness and exploit it with deadly efficiency, wasn't an accident. It was what had made humans the dominant species on Earth. Not strength or speed or natural armor, but the ability to look at any enemy and figure out how to kill it. An alarm started ringing somewhere in the station. Medical alerts flashed on. Screens around the training hall. Lisa realized that sensors had detected Krexth's collapse and automatically called for help. "Everyone stand back," came a voice from the entrance. A medical team rushed into the hall, led by Chief Medical Officer Ilndar. The Aquarian's tentacles flowed around her like living water as she approached the combat ring. The cadets moved aside to let the medical team through. Lisa started to step back too, but Ilndar's eye stalks focused on her. "You stay," the medic said firmly. "I need to know exactly what happened here." While the medical team worked on Krexth, Lisa explained the incident. How it was supposed to be just a demonstration. How Krexth was going to show the difference between species with natural fighting abilities and those without. How her instincts had taken over when she saw the strike coming. Ilndar listened while running scanners over Krexth's unconscious form. The devices beeped and hummed as they examined his condition. Other medical staff prepared a stretcher that could handle his massive weight. "Severe neural shock," Ilndar announced after several minutes. "His nervous system has been temporarily scrambled by trauma to the brainstem. He'll be unconscious for several hours while his body resets itself." She looked at Lisa with what might have been curiosity or concern. It was hard to tell with Aquarian expressions. "What exactly did you do to him?" "I punched him," Lisa said simply. "Under the jaw where his armor plates don't meet." "One punch did this?" "One punch." Ylandar's tentacles writhed in what Lisa was learning meant deep thought among her species. "Fascinating. We've studied human anatomy, of course, but we may have underestimated your strike potential." The medical team loaded Krexth onto the stretcher and carried him out of the training hall. As they left, other station staff began arriving. Security officers, training supervisors, and administrative personnel all wanted to know what had happened. Word was already spreading through the station's communication networks. A human cadet had knocked out a Vorthak combat master with her bare hands. The story was growing with each telling, becoming more dramatic and impossible with every retelling. Lisa found herself answering the same questions over and over. What had she done? How had she done it? Had she received special training? Was this normal for humans? She tried to explain that it wasn't normal, that she had just reacted instinctively, that she had never knocked anyone out before in her life. But she could see that nobody quite believed her. The evidence was too dramatic. Krexth was twice her size and a trained warrior, and she had dropped him with one hit. As the questions continued, Lisa began to realize that this incident was going to change everything, not just for her, but for how the galaxy saw humans in general. The carefully maintained image of humans as physically weak but mentally adaptable had just been shattered by one perfectly placed punch. She wasn't sure if that was a good thing or a very, very bad thing. The news spread through Kepler Station like wildfire. Within an hour, everyone knew about the human cadet who had knocked out Combat Master Krexth with a single punch. The story grew bigger and more impossible with each telling. Lisa sat in her small dormitory room trying to avoid the crowds of curious aliens who wanted to see her. Through her window, she could see the vast emptiness of space, dotted with distant stars. It looked peaceful and quiet, nothing like the chaos her life had become. Her roommate Katie knocked on the door before entering. Katie was another human, Cadet, a cheerful girl from the lunar colonies who had joined the academy to see the galaxy. Her usually bright expression was worried. "Lisa, you need to see this," Katie said, holding up her personal data pad. The screen showed news feeds from across the galactic network. Headlines scrolled by in dozens of languages. Human Cadet defeats Vorthak Master, Earth species shows hidden strength, warrior race humbled by farm girl. Farm girl, Lisa groaned, putting her head in her hands. "They're calling me a farm girl?" "That's not the worst part," Katie said, scrolling through more headlines. "Some of these stories are saying you moved faster than Zelani reflexes. Others claim you punched through his armor plating. One report says you lifted him over your head before dropping him." Lisa looked at the screen in horror. The stories were completely wrong, but they were spreading faster than the truth could catch up. "I just hit him once, in the right spot, that's all." "I know that, and you know that, but the galaxy apparently thinks humans have been hiding secret super strength," Katie said. She sat down on her bunk across from Lisa. "The other human cadets are getting weird looks, too. Some of the aliens seem scared of us now." Before Lisa could respond, their door chimed. Katie checked the viewer and her eyes went wide. "It's Commander Walsh," she whispered. "The human liaison officer." Commander Walsh entered when Katie opened the door. He was a tall, serious man who had served in Earth's military before joining the Galactic Academy as humanity's representative. His uniform was perfectly pressed, and his expression was unreadable. "Cadet Harper," he said formally. "We need to talk." Lisa stood up straight. "Yes, sir." "At ease, Cadet. This isn't a disciplinary meeting." Commander Walsh sat down in the room's single chair, which creaked under his weight. "I've spent the last 3 hours in meetings with Station Command, trying to explain what happened in that training hall." "What did you tell them, sir?" "The truth, that you acted on instinct when you perceived a threat. That human reflexes and anatomy allowed you to find and exploit a weakness in Vorthak physiology." Walsh leaned forward. "The problem is, they don't entirely believe the truth." Katie spoke up. "What do you mean, sir?" "The galactic species have spent decades cataloging human capabilities. They've decided we're physically weak but mentally adaptable. Your actions today don't fit that profile, so they're looking for other explanations." Lisa felt a sinking feeling in her stomach. "What kind of explanations?" "Some think Earth has been hiding military enhancements. Others believe humans have been deliberately downplaying their abilities for strategic reasons. A few are convinced. You're some kind of special operative sent to infiltrate the academy. But that's crazy, Lisa protested. I'm just a farm kid from New Montana. I learned to fight by wrestling cattle and breaking up bar fights in town. Commander Walsh smiled for the first time since entering the room. And that, Cadet, is exactly why you were able to do what you did. You learned to fight on a world where everything was trying to kill you, where one mistake meant death, where precision mattered more than power. He stood up and moved to the window, looking out at the stars. The galactic species have been civilized for thousands of years. They fight with rules, with honor, with predictable patterns. They've forgotten what it means to be a predator. Are you saying humans are predators, sir? Katie asked quietly. I'm saying humans are survivors, Cadet. And sometimes survival requires predatory behavior. Walsh turned back to face them. The galaxy is about to learn that lesson. Another chime at the door interrupted them. This time, the viewer showed Admiral Corton himself, the Vorthak station commander. Even through the small screen, his massive form was intimidating. Cadet Harper, Commander Walsh said, you're being summoned to see the Admiral. This is highly unusual. Station commanders don't typically meet with cadets directly. Lisa felt her heart rate increase. Am I in trouble, sir? I don't think so. If you were, they would have sent security officers. Walsh straightened his uniform. I'll accompany you as your species representative. The walk to Admiral Corton's office felt like the longest journey of Lisa's life. Station personnel stopped their conversations to stare as she passed. Some looked curious, others fearful. A few Vorthak she encountered clicked their mandibles. In what she was learning meant respect among their species. The Admiral's office was enormous, designed to accommodate his massive frame and impressive status. Holographic displays covered the walls, showing tactical data, ship movements, and personnel files. Behind his desk, Admiral Corton looked like a living mountain of armor and muscle. Cadet Harper, he rumbled as she entered. Commander Walsh, please, sit. The chairs were designed for Vorthak physiology, so Lisa felt like a child sitting in an adult's furniture. Admiral Corton studied her with his 4 eyes, his expression unreadable. I have reviewed the sensor data from your training session, he began. Multiple angles, slow-motion analysis, biomechanical breakdown, very thorough. Lisa waited for him to continue, not sure if she was supposed to respond. The strike you delivered was textbook perfect, the Admiral continued. Optimal angle, precise targeting, maximum efficiency. It was not luck, Cadet. It was skill. I didn't really think about it, sir. I just reacted. Yes, exactly. The Admiral's mandibles clicked in what Lisa was learning meant approval. You didn't think. You acted. You identified the target and eliminated the threat with minimum effort and maximum effect. He activated a holographic display showing the moment of impact. Lisa watched herself punch Krexith in slow motion, seeing the perfect technique from an outside perspective for the first time. This is not the behavior of a weak species, Cadet. This is the behavior of an apex predator. Lisa felt uncomfortable with that description. Sir, I'm not a predator. I'm just a person. Are you? Admiral Corton leaned forward. Your species spent millions of years hunting creatures larger and stronger than yourselves. You learned to kill efficiently because inefficiency meant death. Those instincts don't disappear just because you build spaceships. The holographic display changed to show anatomical comparisons between humans and other galactic species. Lisa saw herself compared to Vorthak, Zilani, Matharians, and Corvin. The analysis highlighted human advantages she had never considered: precise motor control, pattern recognition, adaptive thinking, and something labeled as strike optimization. "We made an error in our assessment of humanity," Admiral Korthan continued. "We saw your physical limitations and assumed weakness. We failed to understand that those limitations forced your species to develop something far more dangerous." "What's that, sir?" "Lethality, Cadet. The ability to end fights quickly and decisively, regardless of size or strength disadvantages." The Admiral stood, his full height casting a shadow over Lisa's chair. "Combat Master Krexith will recover fully. When he does, he has requested permission to study human fighting techniques in detail." Lisa blinked in surprise. "He's not angry that I knocked him out?" "Angry? Cadet, he's fascinated. He said, and I quote, 'Finally a species that understands that the point of combat is not to show off, but to win.'" As Lisa left the Admiral's office, she realized that everything had changed. Not just for her, but for all of humanity's relationship with the galactic community. The mask of harmless adaptability had been torn away, revealing something much more dangerous underneath. She wasn't sure if the galaxy was ready for that revelation. 3 days had passed since the incident in the training hall. Lisa walked through the corridors of Kepler Station, and everything felt different. The alien cadets no longer ignored her or looked at her with mild curiosity. Now they watched her, carefully, respectfully, and sometimes with what looked like fear. She was heading to Combat Master Krexth's recovery room in the medical bay. He had woken up the day before and requested to see her. Lisa wasn't sure what to expect. Was he angry? Embarrassed? Ready to kick her out of the academy? The medical bay was quieter than the rest of the station. Soft lights and the gentle hum of life support equipment created a peaceful atmosphere. Lisa found Krexith's room and pressed the door chime. "Enter," came his familiar voice, though it sounded weaker than usual. Krexith was sitting up in a bed, designed for his massive frame. Medical monitors surrounded him, tracking his recovery. He looked smaller somehow, less intimidating than he had in the training hall. His 4 eyes focused on Lisa as she entered. "Cadet Harper," he said, his mandibles clicking softly. "Thank you for coming." "How are you feeling, sir?" Lisa asked, staying near the door. "Confused," Krexth replied honestly. "For 3 days I have been trying to understand what happened. I have reviewed the sensor data dozens of times. I have consulted with medical experts and combat specialists from across the galaxy." He gestured for her to come closer and sit in a chair beside his bed. "Tell me, Cadet, where did you learn to strike with such precision?" Lisa sat down carefully. "I didn't learn it anywhere, sir. I grew up on a farm. We had livestock that sometimes got aggressive. Bulls mostly, big animals that could hurt you if you weren't careful." "And how did you deal with these animals?" "You couldn't fight them head on. They were too big and strong. So you learned to find the right spot and hit it just hard enough to make them stop." Lisa looked at her hands. "My father taught me that every animal has weak points. You just had to know where to look." Krexith was quiet for a long moment. "Your father was wise. This is battlefield knowledge, Cadet. The kind of understanding that takes most warriors years to develop." "He wasn't a warrior, sir. He was just a farmer." "Was he?" Krexth's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Your father survived on a world where he was surrounded by creatures that could kill him. He learned to defend himself and his family using precision instead of strength. That sounds like a warrior to me. Lisa had never thought of her father that way, but she supposed Crexith had a point. Earth was a dangerous world, even in the civilized colonies. Wild animals, extreme weather, equipment failures that could turn deadly in seconds. Everyone learned to be careful, to be precise, to end problems quickly before they got worse. "I want to show you something," Crexith said, activating a holographic display above his bed. The image showed a tactical analysis of their fight, broken down into individual movements. "Watch your strike pattern." Lisa saw herself step forward and deliver the uppercut. The computer highlighted her body mechanics, showing how every muscle worked together to deliver maximum force to the smallest possible target. "Perfect technique," Crexith continued. "Textbook precision. But here's what interests me most." The display zoomed in on Lisa's face during the moment of impact. "Look at your expression." Lisa looked. Her face showed concentration, but also something else. A coldness, a calculation that she didn't remember feeling at the time. "You weren't angry," Crexith observed. "You weren't afraid. You were simply solving a problem. Threat appears, threat gets eliminated. Efficient, practical, deadly." "I was scared," Lisa protested. "I was terrified." "Perhaps, but your fear didn't make you panic or freeze. It made you precise." Crexith adjusted his position on the bed, wincing slightly. "This is what we failed to understand about humans. Your species doesn't just adapt to new situations. You adapt by becoming more efficient killers." The word killers made Lisa uncomfortable. "I don't think of myself as a killer, sir." "No? Then answer me this, Cadet. In that moment when you struck, what was your intention?" Lisa thought about it carefully. "To stop the threat." "At any cost?" Lisa hesitated, then nodded. "Yes." "Even if it meant killing me?" The question hung in the air between them. Lisa realized that in that split second when her instincts took over, she hadn't thought about demonstration or training or consequences. She had simply seen a threat and responded with lethal force. "Yes, sir," she said quietly. "If that's what it took to stop you, yes." Crexith's mandibles clicked with what Lisa was learning meant deep satisfaction. "Excellent, Cadet. You understand yourself." He activated another display, this one showing combat statistics from across the galactic military. "Do you know what the biggest problem is with modern warfare? Warriors who hesitate, who think too much, who worry about honor and rules instead of focusing on victory." The statistics showed engagement times, casualty rates, and mission success percentages. Lisa saw patterns in the data that surprised her. "Conflicts last longer than they should," Crexith continued. "More soldiers die because we've forgotten the basic truth of combat. The goal is not to fight. The goal is to win as quickly as possible." He looked directly at Lisa. "Your species remembers this truth. Earth taught you that survival requires decisive action. That hesitation equals death. That sometimes being civilized means being ready to be uncivilized at a moment's notice." Over the next few days, word of Crexith's analysis spread through the academy. The combat master's reputation gave weight to his conclusions. If Crexith said humans were natural warriors, other instructors listened. Lisa found herself moved to advanced combat classes alongside the most experienced alien cadets. The training was harder, more realistic, more dangerous, but she thrived in it. Her human instincts, once awakened, proved to be remarkably effective. Other human cadets began to show similar improvements. It was as if Lisa's demonstration had given them permission to stop pretending to be weak. They began to embrace their predatory heritage, their precision, their ability to end fights quickly and efficiently. The galactic military took notice. Human cadets who had been struggling in standard training programs suddenly became top performers when taught to fight like humans instead of like other species. 6 months later, Lisa graduated at the top of her class. She was assigned to an elite unit that specialized in quick-strike operations and precision missions. Her teammates were a mix of species, but they all shared one thing. They had learned to fight like humans. At the graduation ceremony, Admiral Corthan gave a speech that would be remembered throughout the galaxy. "We have learned something important about our newest members," he said, his voice carrying across the massive assembly hall. Humanity joined the galactic community as explorers and diplomats. We welcomed them as curious children, eager to learn from older, wiser species. He paused, his 4 eyes scanning the audience. We were wrong. Humanity didn't come to us as children. They came as sleeping predators, and we have awakened them. Lisa stood with her fellow graduates, wearing her new uniform with its elite unit insignia. Around her, aliens who had once looked at humans with condescension now watched, them with respect and wariness. She thought about her father working his farm on New Montana. He probably didn't know that his lessons about dealing with livestock had helped change how an entire galaxy thought about humanity. He had just been teaching his daughter how to survive. That was the human way, Lisa realized. Practical, efficient, deadly when necessary, but only when necessary. They had spent millions of years learning to be the most dangerous species on their planet while still being capable of cooperation, creativity, and compassion. The galaxy was still learning what that combination meant. As Lisa walked out of the graduation ceremony, she passed a group of new human cadets who had just arrived at the academy. They looked small and uncertain, just like she had 6 months ago. But she could see something in their eyes that the alien instructors were still learning to recognize. They looked like predators pretending to be prey, and the pretending was almost over. The galaxy would never be quite the same.